Divine greetings, entities, energies, lovelies, bodies of light, seekers of sojourners, seekers and sojourners of truth, the 144, the chosen of the chosen of the chosen few, and you that are sharing this with me as I'm sharing this with you. Happy 777 portal for the third time this month. So for you all especially who are on the 25th, I'm still a day behind, but since I know how it's all about collective consciousness, and collective consciousness, which is within the Gregorian calendar, that is how you find these portals, by the collective consciousness. And so 2-5 actually is 2-5, yeah, 2-5, 2 and 5 is 7, so 7 for the month, 2-5 for the day, and of course we are in a universal year of 7, so it's a triple 7, a trinity of the divinity, if you will, of the completion of divinity, which I see as the miraculous. The seventh dimension is what I call the miraculous dimension, where the miracles, this is where the magic happens, right? And that's after the infinite existence. For those of you who've been seeing the previous videos, after being in that steady stream flow of the infinite existence at another rapid speed, when the light speeds up some more, you're at 7D, where it brings forth the miracles in life. So, look into it yourself. Listen to the video that I did on the seventh dimension, which is code 7. And then that'll help explain some more about what I'm talking about. But glad to be with you all here, as this is the recap of what has happened in this exciting, amazing week. It was a May to sing. It was a maze within. However you want to look at it, it was amazing, because the maze part of it was like, well, it felt like we're going through a labyrinth. Like in my soul, what's going on? What's happening? But I dare not question spirit. I just follow the guidance. And then that's the maze part. The other aspect of is you, although it felt mazy, like, and it could feel confusing sometimes when you're in a maze, but when you have the clarity of spirit guiding you through, it doesn't matter which turn you make. Either way, you're going to get to the center of where you need to get to. And that is something to sing about, or that is what we get into. There's an inner part of this maze. And so it's amazing when we get in it. So that was, it was just amazing. So I'm going to get into it. I told you I would give you a cap. So I'm going to cap it now with what has happened. I spoke to you about the timeline that was pushing for me during that time. And so I'm going to explain a little bit about how I was experiencing this timeline shift. Why is it that right now, today, I'm a whole day behind everybody? And with that said, before I get too deep into it, I want to give a recap in case this is the first time that you're seeing this and you have no clue what I'm talking about. And it's a recap of the 10 days plus 5 of new beginnings, the 10 days of new beginnings plus 5. And it's something that I've come across, or was brought to me by me seeing Tanya Gabrielle, a video. She's a numerologist, video she did back in February about this 10 days of, she didn't even call it new beginnings. That's kind of how I came into understanding it. But from the 10th through the 19th, for those 10 days, she said it was a number code of 10, where these 10 days, starting with the 10th, and even when you look at the end, it's like a 10, and a 10. When you see 3s, it's usually something that solidifies the creation, the creative activity about this, the creative completion, if you will. And so the 10, I never said this in any of the other videos. So if you're seeing this for the first time, you get a special little extra on this. So there's the 10 on the day of the 10th. That's the first 10. There are 10 days of this. And then at the end, it ends on the 19th, and the 9 and the 1 is a 10. So there's a triple code of 3 within this 10 days of new beginnings vortex. I call it a vortex. And what happens is, if you counted the numbers, and you can go back and do the math, look on February, you count the numbers from the 10th through the 19th, and the numbers of that day, when you count it, it adds up to that day. So you count up the date on the 10th, and all those numbers will add up to 10. The 11th, the same thing, and so forth, all the way through 19th. And so we thought it might be just a one-time thing. One-time thing. That's for my islanders. That's that island that came out. My ancestors coming out. We thought it was a one-time thing. And what happened was my group, with my 5D community, we were working this, and as we were getting ready to do our new moon, we do something called the wave, actually, the 5D wave of manifestation with every new moon. So as we're getting ready to do our spiritual work, I realized as this day is coming up again that the numbers, something said add the numbers, and I'm adding them up, and it's the same thing from the 10th through the 19th, only it equals to that day plus 1. And then that happened the next month, it equaled that those days, if you counted it, plus 2, and so on to where we are now in July, why it is 10 days plus 5. So that kind of explains that. Now, as we approached this, and I knew it was coming up, I saw the 5 code. There's a number 5 code that was happening because this was a code 5. It was the day before I was getting ready to tell my 5D community, reminding them to get ready for the 10 days plus. And as I did it, I counted up the days the day before. This was on the 9th. And I saw the number code, the numbers added up to 5. So I was like, oh, code 5. What is this? What code 5? That was a code 5. We're doing 10 days plus 5. That's when I saw the 5 again. And the third time I saw the 5 was in the 5 degrees between Venus and Mars, as it was traveling at 5 degrees from June 18th to July 18th, which is when the nodes would switch. So all of this was just coming together like a beautiful symphony for those who can see it, because we're talking about integration, right? 5 is the balance between the physical and the spiritual, right? And so the physical and the spiritual also represents that masculine, feminine quality or aspect, not a gender, but just in the sense that the spiritual is the receiver, it's more receptive, and the physical is more, creation and the creator, it gives. Look at it like that. There's a give and there's a receive. So there's this masculine, feminine energy, charge, if you will. And then there is the masculine, feminine of ourselves and our souls that we're integrating within ourselves, which is the conscious and the subconscious mind. And it's just showing this on many tiers of integrating from the inside out. And for those of us who are in 5D, we have been working on synchronizing integration ever since December. For those who are aware of it, I know I'm not the only group that's doing this, that's working on this, but my community, we know we've been talking about it since December. That's when I was getting the downloads about this being all about integration. And I thought it was just for that time, but as Spirit was showing me, no, this entire year is going to be about integration, synchronizing our integration in this universal year of 7, which 7 means, kind of like heaven on earth, bringing it down. And that's the miracle when you see it come from the realms of heaven, meaning the divinity, the ethers, from the realms of heaven within our minds. Even whenever we bring things into manifestation, it comes from the realms of heaven and brought down into earth, meaning brought down into manifestation, or the body, however you want to look at it. Our world and affairs, all of that is manifestation. We manifest these things, right? We're manifestors and co-creators. So all of this was coming together so beautifully. I'm looking at this cosmic divine symphony of what is. And so I let my community know. And then as I went into it, here goes, there's the code 5. We started with the code 5. And the next day I kept adding the numbers up daily, and I saw code 6. And then it dawned on me that I'm going to be making, Spirit put it on me, you're going to make a video every day. Like, this is the first series I've ever done. And it's all about this 10 days new beginning plus. And then here's the bonus. I thought it was just about that. By the end of those 10 days, by the second half, the last 5 days, I ended up getting so much dimensional information, so much about the dimensions. So you'll see that it started to go more into dimensional explanations. And that is from, I believe it was code 4. About code 4, code 5, it started to show me, oh, look at this dimension. And it went up to, by the 19th, I was on code 6 again. So we started with code 6, ended in code 6. And I may have to do a separate video to explain how the numbers kind of cycle around. I mean, it's in one of the videos. I believe it's in code 9 when I'm explaining 9, which is the cycle that we go through in the dimensions, which is the 9 lives or the 9 dimensions, also known as the 9 lives. So that's our cycle that we go through, and we cycle up and around all over again. So everything starts at, this is the infinity of numbers. This is how numbers are infinite. This is how we exist infinitely. It's from 1 to 9 and all over again, back at 1. So as you can see, if you can piece it all together, when I started it going code 5, we were already at a code 5. And the first day we started at code 6. And as we went through and we got to code 9, I was like, I started to kind of get like, what's happening, spirit? But I just stuck with it. And you'll see, if you watch the videos, you'll see by code 11, I had to reframe the title so that, but it all flowed in perfectly as well. It still made sense, but I didn't see what was happening, that after code 9 or 10, we were going to start all over again. And the 10 was starting all over again at 1. This is just with the codes, right? So as we started all over again, little did I know by code 3, it was going to become more dimensional. So I started to get an explanation of the dimensions through that time period. So it ended up extending beyond the 19th, because on the 19th, it was a 6. And I'm wondering, I wonder what other information is going to give me about the 7th dimension, and the 8th and the 9th, because I knew already that it goes up to 9 dimensionally, right? I didn't know about that code number cycling like that, right? So that's just how to catch us up on these numbers. Let me put down my page. So with that, bringing us up to the time, that should explain to some of you who didn't know what we were doing. What's this whole 10 plus coding that I'm talking about? It's just portals. And as I always tell people, portals, it doesn't just start with the portal. It really means, what have you been doing pre-portal? I call it pre-portaling work. What have you been doing? Your soul work, your shadow work, removing things, removing resistance from your soul, coming out of generational, in the karmic loop of your soul, because we come here to get out of our karmic loop and incarnate in what we inherit in our incarnate memories, things like that from the lineage, right? Our inherited lineage. There's things that we have come to resolve, not just in our soul, but the multidimensional soul that we have, and how we're also connected to our ancient ancestors and so forth. So it's really a lot more than we think. This is very multidimensional, my 5D people. As I just jumped right in, so I forgot to say, welcome to 5D. For those of this who may be new, if you don't understand this, because it's 5D, welcome to the 5D experience, where I give you the news to infuse if you so choose to use that. And I really did just jump in. By the way, I am halfway through. I am Aquila Textry, and this is the divine energy essence of it. I usually do that in the beginning, but just in case you don't know, now you know. So and behind that, I should always say, please like, subscribe, and share. Click the link below. All of that they say, because when you do that, when you comment, like, subscribe, share, it helps with the algorithms to get it out to those who may need to hear it. And I really would like to hear feedback on this one, especially because this is a recap. So please comment if you feel free. If you have been watching the series and something stood out to you, or if you have a question about it, please comment. Let me know, what did this series mean to you when you were following it along? How did it resonate with you? Do you find that there's some things changing in you as well? And if this is your first time, also with the information I provided, comment and let me know, how does this resonate with you? And if you have any questions, or what does this sound like to you? Are you coming out of the matrix? Are you coming out of 3D, especially the shadows of 3D? Do you find yourself seeing numbers more, codes, numbers? Are you dreaming deeply? Are your ancestors coming through? Are you seeing things that are calling you to do ancestral work, which I know I'm getting called into even more? I do it, but I notice things are coming up on my feed a lot that says ancestral. And so I know that I'm being guided to look a little bit more deeper into the ancestral connections, right? Because I'm all about that life, but there's probably something more it's calling me to do. So with that, let's talk about this timeline, right? This timeline shift, because that's what happened as I'm going through this experience. Not only did dimensional the dimensions opened up for me to explain what these dimensions are. But I literally push time. Like, I call myself a time pusher now. Like, this is what real time traveling looks like. I was like, this is certified time traveling. So as I started this, before this, I already started clearing out some stuff. I was doing some clearing out, in my house and so forth. And it was something that was well needed in a long time. So it's deep cleaning. And as I was doing it, we started, when you're cleaning, you start to go to bed, you may go to bed really, really late because you really want to get this part done. And so we found ourselves going to bed later and later. And as we started, it went right into the new beginning. So when I started a new beginnings, I noticed we're going to bed 2 hours every day. It was 2 hours later, like clockwork. It's like we're pushing the time 2 hours later. So by the time we got halfway through it, I noticed, this is around the times I was getting the dimensional explanations as well. Halfway through, I was like, this is getting ridiculous. We're literally going to bed when the sun is coming up. And we thought it was dysfunctional at first. It's like, this is highly dysfunctional. I know we was already late people and it was dysfunctional before, but now it's highly dysfunctional. So, and Spirit knew it was on my heart. So as I went out and meditated, and as I do every morning, meditation is like a mini part-time job to me. I literally am out there for about 2 to 3 hours. And I know people are like, how do you meditate? It's not like I sit there like, for 2 hours. It's a whole process. There's a whole connecting to my Merkaba. Like I do a whole Merkaba activation. I Reiki. There's so much that I do I'm a Reiki master. So as a Reiki master, there's things that I know to do. And I sit in the silence for a really long time sometimes. It's listening to what Spirit is saying. So as Spirit had known that this was on my heart, because Spirit already know, I'm questioning this dysfunctionality. And so as I sat down, it's like Spirit put it in me right away, starting off right off the back. Hey, listen, this is not what you think it is. You're being recalibrated. You're being reset. And I'm saying that because other people may have been going through a similar thing. You might have been finding yourself staying up really, really late, or some of you may have been going to bed earlier. Like something in your time has just been shifted, is the best way I can say it. We've been shifted into time, and this whole process was a major timeline. It was a major timeline skip, a major timeline shift, if you will. So in doing this, you may find that you have, like I said, either been sleeping later or earlier, but embrace it is what it was showing to me. Some of you may still be going through this right now. Don't fight it. That's the answer I was getting, because I was thinking, well, we gotta straighten this up. We're gonna make myself and the children, the entire household, we gotta make them lay down earlier. We're gonna do something to make them, and then we're gonna catch back the day, catch back. And Spirit was showing me, no, you're gonna move forward. You're gonna press forward. You're not going to go back. You're going to continue pushing. Just keep cycling through. That's the way it came to me, was keep cycling through. You're recalibrating. You're resetting. It's a reset. And you're guiding your family in that manner and in that light. Because as the spiritual head, pretty much, of the family, as the feminine usually represents the spiritual, the wisdom, the intuition, it is I who are, I'm getting the downloads, the information about it. So it was showing me you're the one that's kind of steering this ship, so to speak. And in doing so, I'm guiding the family. So it was like, keep doing your same routine. Whenever you get up, you have breakfast, you have tea with the family, breakfast. After a couple of hours, you have lunch. After a couple of hours, you have dinner. Like, that was the time that we were on. That's what kept our time, the routine of how we eat: breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then we'd notice every day it was 2 hours later. It was really weird when you're getting up at when you go to bed at 10 o'clock in the AM, and then we would wake up at like maybe 6-8 o'clock. That was when it felt the most weird, because then we'd wake up and the sun is setting and we're like, grand rising, and it's like, oh, this is dysfunctional. But to he who knows, when you know the truth, it's like nobody can tell you anything. I know what was happening, and I had to cycle through it, and I didn't care how crazy it looked to anyone. So we have to realize when Spirit is pushing us, it And I know it was looking crazy to a few people who are really close to me and know it. It's like, what are you guys doing? So that process through the entire week, and we are actually now recently recalibrating. But it brought us back to, it was showing me that when we catch back up the time, we're going to be behind. So that's why I say now you understand why I'm a day behind, because we were always behind everybody else. When it was Thursday, it was like, oh, but it's Wednesday for us. We didn't go to sleep yet, right? We're still on the day before. And so our day before is like lagging behind everybody else. But in the divine spectrum, it was almost like I felt like Spirit was pulling us out. This is everybody's timeline, and Spirit was pulling us out. And it's like, nope, you're not in that timeline anymore. So it's like a suction cup out. And it may seem like we're behind, but we're really not. We're actually being catapulted. We're actually getting, speed. We're actually speeding up. But due to the optical illusion of it to everyone else, and even to me, sometimes it's like we're a day behind. That's how I say it. But it's because of the illusion of it, so to speak. We were transiting just like when planets pass each other. So there's an illusion of there's a slowing down. So we ended up getting suctioned out, and we're literally a day behind everybody else, to the point where even as now we're going to bed back to the night times, we're still the day behind because everybody else is on the day ahead. So this is just, I know it's wild, but I'll keep you guys posted of what comes out of it, because I'm also going to log this every step of the way. I'm going to log the numbers as well, the number codes that keep recycling, because as it recycles, I'm leveling up as well. And so not only getting dimensional explanations, but as I came out of it, I ended up doing, you'll see as well if you go back and look, there are 3 bonus videos. And that is because at the end of the on the 19th, at the end of the New Beginnings +5, it was code 6, and I was seeing more and more was coming. So I kept fasting. I've been fasting this whole time, eating only like tea, crackers, maybe an avocado, maybe some soup, some fruits, very, very what I call informational food, right? I'm not eating to fill the body, but those 3 bonus days chipped in, and then it ended the day before yesterday. And because today is actually the 25th, that's why I said happy 777. It's the 25th for everyone else, but as for my family, we're actually on the day before, which would be considered the 24th. So I did those 3 days, and yesterday was actually the first day after the 9 code. So yesterday I would have done something, but yesterday was a little, I'm going to be honest with y'all, it was a little funny. This is a part of my recap, as I was on a high when I got to 9, because it was like, oh my God, blow my mind. This is what the 9th dimension is. I found that this is 9 lives. The 9 dimensions is what the cometics would say 9 lives are for. I mean, it's just a whole thing. And you then after the 9, you cycle up again. So now when I get to yesterday, which would have been code 10, also known as 1, starting back at 1, I felt this like I was on a high, and I felt this because there's something a bit depressing a little bit. Once you cycle up, it's a good thing that you cycle up. But what I notice is there's something that there's something that we miss. In the old cycle, we had a way of doing things, and now it kind of appears as if there's a loss, and we have to kind of get through that. So as I'm sharing that with you all, it is something to note that we are to be still in our adaptability. There's something to adapt to, especially when you cycle up. You have to adapt. And we have to understand that what you think you're losing is not really a loss. It's a gain in something else. And that thing is not falling away. It's just being extracted of what you don't need anymore. And then it's kind of being refused into the new, which means it looks different. It's not going to be the way you had it in the old cycle. And that's kind of what I'm experiencing like right now. And I'm building back up my momentum. Today was much better. And this would be a code 2 day after that, where I'm getting the infusion all over again. Today's theme for me was like an integration. It's understanding a duality within the duality, and the harmonizing of a duality, which is what all this integration is about. And I want to remind us that as I'm talking about integrating, it's integrating first within our souls, within our consciousness, so that we can then integrate between others interpersonally. It's intrapersonal first and then interpersonally, and that's how we're synchronizing. So I like to remind us, for those who are into 5D, welcome and understand that we're not leaving behind 3D. It is an expansion of 3D. That's how the dimensions go. You don't leave behind another, you expand from 1D to 2D to 3D to 4D to 5D to 6D to 7 to 8 to 9. And then you cycle out and go back again, but on a new level, 1 through 9. Dimensions of your soul is the same thing as levels and steps in your soul. It's a beautiful, beautiful symphony when you really understand it. So my experience was, being out of this timeline means a lot of different things, you all. I'm not even eating the same. I thought afterwards I'd get back to eating. I tried eating something yesterday and it was like, no, it's like my whole molecular structure, as I've been saying, is changing, and I can't eat the same things that I used to. Halfway through that 10 days as well, it was brought to my attention I can no longer eat any Nabisco product. And I love my Ritz crackers, and I had to say no, any Nabisco product, and now I have to check labels because all the Nabisco products have bioengineered in their foods. Look on the containing, what it contains, and it says it. So it's showing me that it's really highlighting to me what I cannot eat anymore, what I cannot do anymore. I can't live out of this timeline that I'm in now. I can't live in the hypocrisy of anything with myself, especially with others, because I'm fine in doing the soul work with myself. I'm all about shadow life and checking my work. That's how my soul is ascending. Right? When you do that shadow work, you make your soul lighter. It's all about lightening our souls. And when you lighten your soul at an invisible level, at a mind level, it will start to do the same for your body. Your body is going to respond accordingly. So now I'm eating foods that are light, and it's not even like I'm trying to. Before it would be because I'm fasting, because I'm detoxing. But now through this experience, when I say this was a major timeline shift, you all, it was major. Keep in mind, in between these 10 days, there was the new moon, which my community, we do a 7 days work through the new moon from the crown coming down. And there was the cardinal grand cross between those cardinal signs, all 4. And then there was the nodes shifting from Taurus, Scorpio to Libra and Aries. And so even that is the masculine, feminine. We're getting so much information of what's happening with the masculine, feminine, because Aries and Libra is the masculine, feminine. That Mars and Venus rule them both. So it's showing us what we're coming into, what we were working through, and now what we're coming into. We're being shown for the next 18 months we're going to be, that's where our north and south nodes are going to be. So even that, I will do a video about explaining that cardinal grand cross, because I did pull some cards on the 18th, on my 18th, which was a couple hours behind everybody. So it was actually the 19th for everybody else when I did it. But it was pulling cards for the cardinal. I just pulled it. I didn't do it for the cardinal grand cross. I was doing it simply because it was the 18th. It was a nodal shift, and I just felt like doing it. And what came out of it was like a guidance through the cardinal grand cross, and seeing how at the point of it, what's really needing to be highlighted in us, which is how we're telling our story right now. And, in the video, I'll definitely explain that in depth. So this was my experience, y'all. I'm sharing it with you. It was not easy. There was some revelations that really came through, because in the cardinal grand cross, Pluto is in Capricorn. That's the cross. The cross is Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra. And Pluto's in Capricorn. The sun and the moon were at Cancer. And then our nodes were the Aries and Libra. So that Pluto energy was really hitting also. That was bringing forth some revelations in the midst of this. So as I'm working this and getting pushed or, suctioned out of that timeline, and it's almost like I'm getting suctioned out and thrusted, elevated up. So I'm not even, welcome to 5D, but I realize I'm not even 5D. I'm really like a 6D, call it 6D, 7D. I may be 7D as well, and downplaying it because I'm not really sure. but I really am aware that I'm at a 6D level overall, because understand that we're at different levels within our soul. You have it's like dimensions within dimensions. I finally understand that at a depth through this process where I was getting the downloads about the dimensions. We're actually dimensions within dimensions, which just means levels within levels of our soul. So I'm just speaking the overall of my soul complex. My mind body complex is pretty much at a 6-dimensional level. And we'll definitely, I'll talk more about dimensions as I go. It seems like I'm going to be doing more of these videos to share with you all. So usually I do a few and drop off. I'm not really a constant YouTuber person. But as more information comes, I will definitely share it with you all. As I said, comment, let me know what resonated with you, what you like, what you didn't like, what you have questions about. Comment and let me know if you would like me to do more on either dimensions or the Grand Cross or the nodes. I love talking about the nodes. So anything that you feel that you would like to hear more of, the timeline even, because I'm a timeline pusher. Comment and see what you think about that. Was that weird? Or, is it something that you found yourself in? I want to know if anybody else experienced this, point blank. Did anybody else go through a timeline cycling like I had to do? Like, did you find yourself going to bed later and later and later until you're like completely out of everybody else's day? Like you're waking, that's what I want to know. If this gets out to anybody who had that, please comment and let me know if you had a similar experience, either the same or something similar. And for some of us, we may be expanding. Some of us, we may be constricting the time. I did more of a release. What happened to me was more like a release, an expansion. And it actually gives me more time. That I could share with you all. I used to get up every day feeling like I'm running out of time. I'm out of time. But now it's like, I'm like this. What am I going to do next? I have so much time in the day. Like, this is such a blessing. And I'm not dysfunctional anymore. Time-wise, like I learned to respect time because I respect the space. It's time, space, reality. And because I'm now respecting the space in time, I'm finding that I have a natural respect for time that is in the space, if that makes sense. So right now, the children are this is about 8 o'clock, and right now the children, you see it's bright outside and they are already going to bed. And I never thought that was possible. I was like, who puts their kids to bed at 8 o'clock? Now it's like me. That's what we do. And now they're up to watch the sun get up. I never thought that would happen. So, it was exciting, and it's exciting to continue to see the changes and what's happening with me as we go through these dimensions, as we time travel, y'all. So with that said, it was a beautiful experience. I'm glad I could recap and share this with you all on this 777. Do your work, do your soul work. It's a beautiful reward to the soul. With that said, each one reach one, teach one. If you don't know where to start in your big, beautiful heart. Shine your light from the inside out and be the candle that lights the next one and the next one and the next one. Peace, love, and light. Portal out.